Everyone, welcome back to LTV Lab. We have two new faces in the house today. So today we're joined by Saf, who is our operations manager at Dispatch and always guest strategist. We're joined with Eleni, rockstar strategist on the team, who you've seen before. We're joined with Kana, who is our new strategist over here at Dispatch. And then we have a special host guest analyst today. Pleasure to introduce my good friend Matt Lady. Matt is the head of growth at our favorite D2C SaaS company, Rich Panel. Rich Panel is an AI powered customer service platform. I think that's right, Matt.
Yep, nailing it.
Yeah. Rich Panel's growing super fast and just really excited to have Matt on to share some of his awesome D2C insights on the customer journey as we're going through it. So today, the brand that we are going to be doing our deep dive into is Bloom. So Bloom is a Canadian founded superfood company. And essentially, I'm the one who ordered for this episode. So I'm going through my customer journey with Bloom Superfood. And like I was saying, Bloom, Canadian founded superfood company that basically sells two main product lines. So the first product line that they have is called Super Belly, which I believe is their newer product line, and it's a hydration drink mix powder. So basically what it sounds like, helps you kind of build your gut health and also hydrates at the same time. And then the second category that they have is their superfood lattes, which I believe was like the initial product line they had that really got them off the ground. So these are lattes that have like lavender, they have a matcha one, I think they have like a golden milk turmeric one. These are basically the two main categories of products that they have. So the reason why I wanted to order from Bloom for this episode is number one, like their digital marketing is extremely strong. So like I get their ads all of the time, and like I've seen their organic content on TikTok and other platforms for a while now. And I don't remember like exactly what was going through my mind when like it came time to decide which brand I wanted to order from here. But I felt for a while that I could be better hydrated and that like I could have better gut health. I don't have the best diet in the world and I don't drink the most water in the world. So like when I saw that they had this product, Super Belly, that was both like a hydration product and good for gut health, like that really stood out to me. So basically, like just to touch on like my experience shopping on the site, I like went onto the site kind of knowing what I wanted already. I did see that they had like a few flavors of Super Belly. So basically just like went in to see what those flavors were. And then like they do a really good job of just directing you to their starter kit. So basically like that was the first thing that I saw when I got to the site, like it was their starter kit. The product that I ended up ordering was their starter kit that had the like mango flavor in it. Yeah, so it was like this Super Belly mango passion fruit. That was the new one. That's basically what I landed on. Any questions about Bloom? Anyone?
No questions, but those pictures look so good. I kind of want it.
Great call out. So like I do find their photography and just branding overall like really, really strong. Everything's just so bright and like we'll get into like the unboxing, the packaging and everything. But agreed, like as soon as I saw this, I needed it.
I'm
Cool.
interested to know how you like the product because my best friend is a Pilates instructor and like you will not see her without her like super belly in her bag after or before she goes to teach. So interested to see how you liked it when we get to that part.
Interesting. Did you have something, Matt?
Yeah, I was gonna ask which SKU came first. It's like their hero SKU, the belly or the
It was the other one. It was their superfood lattes that like
fluff.
is what got the brand started.
That's what I thought.
And yeah, and now they have like this. And I do think like by far the superfood lattes are like they're more popular still. At least that's what like I still get all the ads for. Those like never really interested me just because I'm not into like the turmeric and like different superfoods that they have in there. Like, and I don't really drink a lot of milk, so like the latte aspect like never hit me. But like Super Belly was definitely more what I was like looking for. So that's basically like kind of it in terms of like what I wanted from the product. It was just like to feel more hydrated. And we'll get into like what actually happened when I started drinking it because like it is kind of like a really interesting product. And like we do work with a bunch of functional CPG brands, but like gut health and hydration are interesting in that like they're not super tangible in terms of like how you feel and like where like noticing the benefits. So we'll touch on that more, but like that is what I wanted. And I do think like on their product page, they do a pretty good job. Like I'll note that they are a subscription brand too. So I was also just interested to see like how they try and convert one-time purchasers into subscription customers, which is definitely something like we focus on a lot at Dispatch. But yeah, basically what I was saying is they do a good job of like highlighting why you need hydration and like why gut health matters on the website. So I do remember like reading through all of this copy and just really clearly connecting to like, okay, this definitely seems like something that like I could benefit from. Like when they say like 75% of North Americans are dehydrated, like I would have no problem believing that like I'm in that 75%. And yeah, they just have a lot of like really good information on what the products contain that just spoke to like something that like would probably make me healthier. Other than that, like pretty seamless checkout experience. Oh, one thing I will note, so this is actually interesting, and I'm sure like this is the case for other brands as well. Basically, if you look at like the product images right here, this is the SKU that I ordered, the exact SKU, and like the first image here, basically like it shows this like bottle in it. And when you go below, it like says right here, subscribe to our Super Belly starter kit to save 20% and receive a free insulated tumbler on your first order. And like they are making it clear that like the free gift on your first order happens when you subscribe. But because it was in the image, I do remember like when I got the product looking for the bottle and then it wasn't there. So it's just like a small detail, but I think like we talk about like all the time how like expectations versus reality are kind of like what lead to the outcome of like a good experience or not. And like to their credit, they're doing like all the things to like make it clear that it's on your first subscription order. But I don't like remember seeing this image. So I do think like that was one thing I would point out about the website experience. I guess like what they could probably do is just like only have this toggled when you're on subscribe and save. That's basically it. Other than that, smooth ordering experience. So yeah, when it comes to the initial ordering experience, on 10, I would give it like a 10 on 10, honestly. I think they did a really good job of like giving me all the information that I wanted on the website. They made it super easy to find the products that I was looking for, super easy to check out. So really like nothing bad I could say about it.
A really high score.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, whoa. I was like, I saw episode 1. I saw the whole thing. Like this is a pretty high bar already. So I'm curious to see how the
Y-
rest of it goes.
You know what though? The thing is, and like what this kind of made me realize is like as a function of like how well I think customers in general like will rate brands across all of these things. Like I do think it's way more of a function of like not doing something wrong than like doing anything like outstanding, you know? Because when I look at this, I'm like, what can I detract points from? Not like adding up all the like small little things that they did right, you know?
Yeah, you don't notice the things that go right, you only notice the things that go wrong.
That's it. Yeah.
Nailed it.
It's kind of an interesting like strategy in general of like, I mean, we say it all the time, like you have to like nail the basics. And they did. So 10 on 10. Cool. Okay. Going into the order to delivery phase. I'm just gonna go through like the emails here. I do want to call out in the like welcome email. One other thing that like I think they do well is like I signed up for their welcome offer, which was 10% off your first purchase, but they made it very clear, like right under the CTA, that it's not available in bundles or subscriptions. And like because I ordered a bundle, like I was prepared to like just get the bundle savings and not have that 10% off. A lot of brands like hide this in like terms and conditions in their footer, and then you get to checkout and your code doesn't work and then you're annoyed, and that's what like causes point detraction. So it's like, well, it's not ideal that like I didn't know this when I signed up for the welcome offer and like found this out in the email. Like at least I found it out here and could then just like continue on with my decision, versus like getting to checkout and being let down. And then the other thing I would just mention at a high level is like they have like really strong brand USPs, brand messaging, like things that like they really like care about, that they and that make the brand stand out, that they talk about like in a good light. But like they put like everything in the first email. And this is just like a criticism I have of a lot of brands email marketing, is like they just like take everything that's worth talking about and assume that like everyone's going to read through to the bottom of this email and then never surface a lot of these things again. So like in terms of like what I want when I open a welcome email that has a code, it's like I want the code and then I want to go back to the site to use the code and shop. And if that's what the brand wants me to do as well, which I assume it is because that's like what they're putting in front of me as soon as I open the email, then like the assumption shouldn't be that I'm going to come back to the email after to then scroll down and like read the things that you value and like read about the different products and read about like how like kind for the planet Bloom is, and like then go to social and then like learn that you're Canadian made. Like all of these things are really great for me to see, and like they all make me like want to purchase, happy to purchase. But like I didn't see any of them. That's just the truth. Like until I sat down to review these emails in depth, I realized like when I actually got this email at first, I didn't scroll down to actually see any of this. So definitely just like and like there's room to have this like in the post purchase flow as well. But because like the only time I ever saw it was in that first welcome email, that's just something like if a brand is watching this that wants to kind of optimize their email marketing, you want to just make sure like the things that are important to communicate are not like buried deep inside of like one email that people might not scroll all the way through.
Also, like more importantly as well, for deliverability reasons, this will definitely be like cut on Gmail as well. So people most likely won't see it either.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you didn't point out that it clipped on Gmail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Honestly, I think like I'm just so used to seeing super long emails that it's like we know at this point like that's not what you should do, but also I like don't feel the need to like repeat it all the time, but maybe we should. Because the truth is like you're right. If it's clipped, no one's seeing it. And that's it. Cool.
Just wanted to mention that uh, that customer experience that you mentioned with the discount code, that
Mhm.
you mentioned it and kind of just echoing it again, as bad customer experience is louder than good customer experience. If it works smoothly, you'll never say, "Oh, thank God the discount code worked. I'm gonna go tell all my friends
Exactly.
about it." If it doesn't work, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna purchase," or I'm gonna go chat and support and figure it out. You
Hmm.
know. So, just very, very wanted to reiterate on that
I
point.
think you have an interesting perspective, and like I don't know how much of this data you get into at Rich Panel, Matt, but like I would assume that that is one of the bigger like pieces of the pie in terms of all customer support tickets, just like people reaching out about codes and offers.
So the by far the most common inquiry and is one of the ones that's most commonly resolved with the self-service is where's my order? Like that's by far
Mm,
across every brand industry, very commonly number one. But discount code usage varies by brand depending on how often they discount, if they're a luxury brand or what have you. So that one's a little more variable.
Hmm.
got it. That's really good to know. And I do think for sure, like, where's my order is also just a function of like how proactive you are in letting customers know where their order is.
One last thing before we jump from welcome that
Mhm.
I'm kind of noticing too and talk about customer journeys. When you're on the site, it was like really pushing for you to start that subscription and get the free gift. But there's no mention of subscription, at least from what I've mentioned in here, and it's pushing you the 10% that you can't use on subscriptions. And then when you go to shop, they start pushing you the subscription. So you're kind of obviously it's beneficial for the brand to have you start a subscription, but the like different messaging and having to decide which you want to do and what offer is better, it just adds maybe that little bit of friction.
I'm happy you pointed that out. And the truth is, like, I noticed it when I was looking at the site more now, but you're right that the site is very heavy in subscription. And even like one of the CTAs at the top of the site in their nav bar is like start your subscription or something to do with subscribe and save. And they literally do not talk about subscription anywhere in welcome, post purchase, like anything. So that's something that's like glaringly missing across all of their emails. And it's just like, you can't even make the case that like they don't really want people to subscribe because you're right. Like it's completely disjointed from what they're like driving people to on the website. In terms of this order confirmation, just like standard from Shopify, nothing to really talk about there. So basically, I placed my order on April 13th. And then on April 14th, the next day, I got like an introducing this new flavor email about the product that like I had just ordered. And I think this is just like a good example of like how people who are like hitting send in Klaviyo like just don't really like think about the like customer journey, customer experience that much and what customers are like actually thinking a lot of the time. Because like it's like a lot of brands and like what we do for most of our clients where it makes sense is like we'll just exclude people who have purchased like in the last 7 days in general. And like the truth is when I got this email, like your gut reaction, like when a brand is giving you like a shop now CTA immediately after like you just bought, especially if it's for like the exact SKU that you just bought, is like, why are you making me open my email for this? You know, like it's just really not worthwhile. And I almost thought it was like a post purchase email that was like, oh, like here's everything that's so great about Super Belly Mango Passion Fruit because you bought it. And then as soon as I saw like the shop now CTA or check it out CTA, and then like the shop, I was just like, okay, this is not really meant for me, but all right. Um, Other than that though, like their visuals are really strong. So like I do think that kind of carries a lot of weight for them. And like their email marketing is general, which you'll see like is strong. There's a lot of like small details that I think can be improved, but like we'll keep it high level. Next up, same day on the 14th, just got like another your order is on the way email, which is great. I think it's awesome like when you can just really quickly see that like the brand is like moving to ship. And like we've talked about before, we've seen other examples now over the course of several episodes. Like it takes different amounts of time for like your product to actually arrive at your door, like depending on the brand that you're ordering from. But I think just like being proactive, exactly like Matt just said, but like we haven't like we received your order, like we haven't forgotten about you. This is just like where it's at and what's happening, is like a nice thing to receive. The third email I received on April 14th. So at this point, like this was a lot of emails to receive in one day, but this was a really, really good email. This is honestly one of the best like post-purchase emails I've ever received, honestly. And it's really simple, but like basically the founder of the brand, whose name is Karen, sends a like plain text email that has a image with like a play button overlaid sent over, just saying like, thank you so much for supporting us on our mission to make wellness a kinder place. We believe simple daily habits compound, and we're happy Bloom is a part of that journey. Your order means the world to us. I'll record a quick video for you. And like, this is just really not something you see brands doing all the time. I think it's also interesting because like Bloom is like a pretty big brand at this point, and like obviously this video was not recorded for me, but still like when you see like this is kind of the beauty of like plain text emails and how they like break the pattern of very branded emails from brands. Like it does feel or did feel when I received this, I like, oh, like I have a message from the founder like thanking me, like this is cool. And the video is really good. The video is basically just like the co-founder and CEO Karen like explaining about the brand, their mission, and like showing tips on how to make the perfect latte. So like I didn't order a latte, like that's fine, but still like it just is a way better experience than like just seeing that in an email. Like it really brings the brand to life. You like get to know who you're ordering from. And I think like video is so powerful and so underused for brands in CPG and just all ecom brands in general.
That's really cool. I've never like seen a post like I've seen a lot of like creative things. I don't think I've ever
Mhm.
seen a linked video in a like post purchase before or like any flow.
Yeah, and the truth is like we often like link out to video content. We do see like really high click-through rates in campaigns. Like when we have like a situation like this where we'll overlay like a play button on an image to take someone to like YouTube or Instagram, etc. But to your point, like yeah, doing it in a flow like this, I think especially, and I think like what's interesting too is like they're not like a founder first brand. Like this co-founder CEO Karen like isn't at the forefront like any, it's not like an influencer brand, you know, but it just like brings everything to life.
I'm stealing all these ideas now in the back of my mind.
Yeah, well that's like the hidden point of LTV Lab.
Yeah.
Cool. The only thing I would call out is like the video was hosted on Google Drive. And like to me, I just think that's a huge missed opportunity to not host it on the website where like number one, it's just gonna be a way better like branded experience to go there. And then like second, because she is talking about like how to make the perfect latte and like you need like a whisk or like even if I didn't order like the latte product, like just having the ability to like cross sell or upsell me based on what's being talked about there, I think like is a really nice opportunity for them to just elevate like this experience. It was kind of strange, like I was like, whose Google Drive am I in right now? Like this feels very, it's just like I'm in someone's like personal space.
It's too
Yeah.
personal.
So I totally agree in that having it on the site, you could even have the like recipes right below the video so that people have everything
Mhm.
kind of in one spot. But I do kind of wonder if it feels more genuine to the consumer, if it's like kind of more raw in that Google Drive rather than it like being taken back to the website. Like it feels more like it was for me if it's in a Google Drive because like that's how someone I know would send something to me. Do you know what I mean?
I can appreciate the benefit of the doubt there. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like
Interesting perspective.
this way definitely on a smaller founder led kind of getting moving emerging brand. This is like
Mhm.
amazing. But if as you get bigger and bigger, then it's like this perception of, and again, this could be bias of like we look at these and view it from this perspective in ecom and
Mhm.
emails. So I always have to take that into consideration versus like the customer perspective. Uh oh, this is shitty. They haven't updated this in months or years, and like, oh, I have to go to Google Drive. Is that a virus? Is that like what's happening? Like it could be this whole other thing. So I would suggest using maybe an app like Bonjoro where it syncs with Shopify and you can send like personalized video messages. And I'm sure you could like do a standard one anyway. But just wanted to throw that in.
No, I'm happy you threw that out there, Matt, because honestly, like that was my take. I was just trying to like not like be as blatant about it, but like my take really was like this doesn't seem like something a big brand where like, and again, I think like Saf called it out, like their visuals are so good and like all like everything's like very buttoned up and like very well produced. And I do think like sending it in that Google Drive does seem like something like a really small brand would do, and maybe that they did like 2 years ago and like have forgot to like elevate, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
It's also one of those interesting things because when you look at the site and you look at the emails, like to me, this is a brand that like probably cares a lot about creative, and we have a lot of clients that care a lot about the like creative. So to have something that's not beautifully branded like this come out of nowhere, even though it's like such a good idea, is just like a little odd to me.
Yeah. Anyways, like I think the initiative and idea is great, and I do think like it's well executed. I just think like this is something that like there is something like to point out. So maybe this is like an 8 on 10 execution that like could be leveled up to like 10 on 10. And especially if you're talking about like LTV and how to drive more revenue here, definitely like there's a way to do it. What was that app you mentioned called, Matt?
It's Bonjoro. I don't know if they sync
Bonjoro.
with Klaviyo, and I'm not sure if you can like put the same video in, but it's like a personalized message or email. So it seems like it's right from the founder because it is. There's other apps that do like personalized with AI video, by the way, too. That's a different one, but that you could like, kind of play around with that.
So basically, 2 days later, I got an abandoned cart email for like the product that I placed an order for. So I think that's just like a flow filter issue that they probably have going on. Um, but again, like I got this email that was like, "Did we just become besties?" Which like doesn't say anything about like you forgetting something in your cart. So like I want to open it to see like what it is, and then it's just like an abandoned cart email that's completely like not relevant to me anymore at this point. So yeah, that was just like a small miss. Then on the 18th, I don't know how does everyone else like feel about this. I personally, as a consumer, like, and I like we don't do this for our partners as much as I am aware of. I don't like when brands use like the regarding language in their subject line when like this is not a reply to my email. It just immediately makes me think like it is a reply, and I need to open
I've
it.
never seen this before, so safe
You
to say that
haven't?
I've never used this for any of our clients, but I don't like it.
No, I've
Oh, I've
gotten
seen
it a
it
bunch of
everywhere.
times. Yeah, I've gotten a bunch of times, like, in my
Really?
personal emails. I hate it. Like, every time I see it, like, I literally delete it. I hate it that much. I don't
Like
even know.
this is like spam. This is like
Kayla's marking
yeah.
as spam.
Yeah, as soon as I see it, I'm like, I don't, like, I'm not dealing with this. I hate it. And it feels very spammy to me.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
I was shaking my head the whole time up until you called me out. Immediately jail. Like, no. I'm not an inbox zero guy by any means, but I'm like, no. I know I didn't send you an email. Don't do this. This is that like in we're again in ecom and it's like hacky, it's gimmicky. It's like it might get open rates, but then you might get more spam. You might get more like negative messages, or it could work. Who knows?
Clickbait. It's literally clickbait.
That's it. And it's just like at such a basic level, it's like taking advantage of like the trust that subscribers have given you, you know? Not to like go overboard with it, but I didn't like it. Okay, so then basically, the concept of this email is like getting you ready to like make the most of your product, which is just a great like concept and idea for an email in food and beverage and CPG when like there are tips you can give people on how to enjoy it most. The problem with this email is like I didn't order superfood lattes, and this is just a situation where like I'm pretty anti like branching flows and like personalizing flows too much just because like it can get really messy really quickly, and if you don't have like the resources and oversight to be able to like update everything that would need to be updated and even analyze like the metrics of like 10 branches in a flow, like I don't think it's a good idea. But for a brand like Bloom that has like two distinct categories and then like a lot of sub SKUs within them, like I do think it's worth branching out your post purchase flows just to make sure people are having like the best experience with the product they ordered and not getting like a ton of irrelevant content that might cause them to skip the content they actually get. Because like in this email, like the superfood lattes portion takes up like a crucial like third of the email before I even see anything related to like the super belly, you know?
You've also probably bounced before you reach Super Belly because you're like, okay, well, clearly this is a mistake because I didn't order superfood lattes, and you've already been baited by the subject line.
Yeah, no, that is it.
So,
You're right.
like, I would have bounced before, like, off the email before seeing that it's like below.
100%. This is the biggest miss for Bloom and for a lot of CPG brands, like when it comes to driving repeat purchases. Like, this is the type of messaging that you need to like really hammer home on when someone is buying for the first time. Like, this is why you need this product. And what's interesting about probiotics, like in general, is like it's not like protein powder or like creatine where like you'll see your bigger muscles like if you're using it. Like I do believe that probiotics are good for you, but like there's so many things that can influence how you feel. And like the benefits that they tout Bloom are like you're gonna like have better focus, you're gonna have better sleep, you're going to have like all of these great things. that can just be influenced by like how your diet's fluctuating on a daily basis, like how much you're sleeping, etc. Like they need to be communicating why you need probiotics, because like I don't know, and like I need to be like made aware of the things that like I should be paying attention to, and the fact that like even if I don't notice, like these things are going to be working if you take it every day, because that's how you get someone to like adopt usage of the product and then run out and then reorder. And this is like a perfect example of where like this is the exact message I'm talking about, like why your body needs probiotics daily, but it's like buried at the bottom of this email that probably I'm not going to make my way through, and then like not really talked about again. Like this is like something that should be its own dedicated email, or like a series of emails around like why you need probiotics every single day.
And just kind of like get into that as well. Like they can actually tell you after X amount of days, you should be feeling this in this way, and this is what's happening to your body. And then that could also increase retention rates as well, because people will be like, okay, when I get to this stage, this is how I'll feel, and this is what's happening. So just kind of giving them like tangible benefits as well that they may not like recognize, but know that's happening to them.
100%. I guess like you'll see this in the next email too. So like the next email, if you scroll over Saf, is an email where like they're pushing recipes. So like again, like it's to try and help product adoption. But like this email and the previous email that we just looked at, like are both sent before I actually received my order. So like when I got these, I took note of them, but it wasn't something that like I paid as much attention to compared to like if I had the product near me and like could have gone and made it like using those tips, or like used it like like with a recipe. So it can like we've worked with some brands where like it's just difficult to use like Klaviyo's order delivered metric, like because of the different carriers. And I do think like Canada Post does make it difficult in being able to like accurately monitor when packages are delivered. So like maybe give them the benefit of the doubt as to like why that's not what they're doing. But I do think like there are ways that you can accurately assess like how long it will take for someone to receive their package, and just making sure that like you're being intentional about when they're receiving the type of content that's going to help them like use the product is important. Because like transparently, like I had forgotten about these emails by the time like my product came, and I wasn't going back to like look at the recipe at that point. But yeah, for any brands watching CPG, like recipes are an amazing thing to showcase to get people to adopt the product. I didn't like that they had their CTA to be like download the recipe book. I'm curious like what everyone else thinks about this, but like the other alternative here is just like showing me the recipes in the email, which I would have much preferred, because I did not download this.
It's interesting that it's a download the recipe book because like I have a couple clients that have recipes on their site and we feature them a lot, and usually it's like get the recipe and they're hosted on the site in like a blog format, and you can scroll through, you can say like recipes for chicken, and you can have like 100 recipes that show up on one page, and then at least you're like training the customer that like you can come to our site and find like recipes on like the thing you bought or whatever you want. Whereas downloading this book, like, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not downloading a recipe book for my Super Belly and then sending it to my computer. And then when I want something, going back to it and opening that. Like, I'm not doing that ever. So either showing it in the email or hosting it on the site. So at least you're like, you know that you can go on the site to find recipes, I think would be way better in
Yeah.
terms of like utility.
I much prefer linking it to the site and having like a recipe dedicated page. Maybe like one recipe in the email, but again, you have to like make sure that the recipe is applicable to like whatever has been purchased. Whereas like
Mhm.
you link to the site and there's like a landing page, there can be like a wide variety of recipes instead of just like one that takes up the email that may or may not be of relevance to the person who's receiving it.
Yeah. We picked out these recipes just for you, except you didn't. That's it.
Yeah.
I think like download as a CTA in general is also like a bold choice for a CTA, considering how much traffic's like on mobile, where like you don't download things on your phone. That's just like not an action that people take. So I do agree that like linking out to the site where like things can be categorized is the better approach here. And then to your point, Matt, like they say recipes just for you, and then like right below they say like complete your rituals. These babies pair perfectly with your new routine, but like none of these products are related to like the super belly that I ordered. Like all of these are related as like things for the lattes like that they have.
The milk frother is interesting because my best friend Alessia, who has this every day, uses like a milk frother to mix it in her cup. So it could have been presented to you much better so that you don't think that this actually isn't useful at all. Like if you're not drinking out of a bottle that you're shaking, you're either using a spoon or like something to mix it, kind of position not knowing that you could make any use of this for
I
your
think
super
all
belly.
Eleni, I really appreciate the benefit of the doubt, but also like they call the product a milk frother.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if you got the wrong email, like you're down the wrong path, because this is specifically for.
I think like that's one option, but I think what's more realistic is like they just don't have it branched, which is why like in that previous email, like it's showing both things, like superfood lattes and super belly, like how to make them. So I think they just like don't have it branched. What I will give them the benefit of the doubt for is super belly is a relatively new product, but I do think like for a brand that big, like we work far in advance with our clients to like have things go live like when something like this happens. So like it just doesn't make sense like to not proactively do this type of branching when you know like you're gonna have thousands of customers
Yeah.
ordering this new SKU.
And even if you don't have like the new branch or the new show hide
Mhm.
blocks or whatever it is live, like it's very easy to just like skip. Like if you
Yeah,
know that nothing about this is about like their other 50% of their product line, like you can just jump right over it instead of showing something that's for the lattes to you.
right. April 22, so next day, basically just received an email that my order is out for delivery. And then that same day, I get an email about how like my Bloom order helps remove ocean plastic. So like that was a nice email to receive. I think it just does go a long way to help people like feel good about their purchase, feel good about the brand. Then on the 24th, 2 days later, I basically get an email that says learn more about your new drinks. I think there's like just content missing here because there's a header that says a little bit more about your Bloom bevies and then nothing. And I reloaded Gmail like several times to make sure like everything was loading here, but there is just a blank space there. So I posted a bunch of pictures there. It was just like a regular like sachet type of package that they ship it in. Right away, like the colors are super bright. So like I do find going from website to their emails to their packaging, like their branding is really strong and just like cohesive across the whole customer journey, which I like really respect. So it was just like a good feeling like when you open the product and like the packaging like does feel premium and also just like feels like what you bought, you know, like branding wise. That's pretty much it. Like they have a lot of good information like on the back of their packaging, which is great. And then they just have like this in here, and you'll see this again in one of the upcoming emails. But like they have a card that like is all about referral. So it says like kindness is like peanut butter, spread it. Like I can appreciate the copywriting, but I'm really curious to know like how this works for them because I'm the first person to say like if this is crushing for them, like good on you. Like I just don't think like as an offer in like packaging it makes the most sense before someone's like even tried it to like push them towards a referral. But like maybe if the majority of their orders, let's say, are going to repeat customers, like I could see how then it makes more sense. And like just when you're getting it for the first time, it's like less relevant. But like Eleni brought it up before, and it's like they really push subscription on the website. So like I do feel like having like a card with like a QR code to like redeem a subscribe and save offer like that you could kind of keep around for like when you want to reorder would be more beneficial than like this referral.
So how would you rate your order to delivery phase?
So my order to delivery phase, I would say like a 5 and like I think that is just because like there was a lot of content that wasn't relevant. There were a bunch of emails that were received on the same day. I got like an abandoned cart email after I placed my order. And yeah, that like regarding in the subject line, auto, I won't send them to jail like Matt, but that's like a 2 point deduction, I would say.
Okay. And unboxing?
Unboxing, The thing is, like, we've seen some really good unboxings over the last few episodes. So it feels like just competitively, I can't rate them higher than others we've seen. I would say this is like a 7. It's like, it's not bad. And my initial reaction was like, this is solid packaging. But I do think like when it comes to unboxing, I think that's like the inverse of a website where like no one really cares about it unless you go above and beyond and there's something like really over the top in it.
In their defense, I do wonder if part of the reason they package the way they do is to limit their like overall consumption because they had that whole email about like we're plastic neutral. So I know that when you line like that's a red flag, but I also know that when you line cardboard boxes with the like imagery that they do on the inside, you can't recycle them anymore. So I kind of get doing the like paper mailers that are a little bit less, even though they're still bubble wrap, so I don't think you can
Yeah.
recycle those either, but they're
Yeah.
less intensive on the environment from what I understand.
But Elliot, we talk a lot about expectations based on the site and the emails and all the touch points. Like, did it meet your expectations for unboxing?
Yeah, in terms of like the packaging of the product, the colorful packaging, and like it is like a high quality type of packaging, I would say. Like it met my expectations for sure. It just didn't like there's nothing over the top which would have earned them like extra points. So I feel like everyone's like a 7 unless you like go ahead and do something like important or you like screw something up. What are your thoughts, Matt and Kana, on like how the unboxing experience contributes to like your perception of the brand like in general? Matt, go first.
So if I'm buying a premium or luxury product or brand, I
Mhm.
expect it to be high. If I'm not, I have almost no expectation.
Got it. Kana.
I'm from South Africa, so honestly, the boxing here, as long as it's wrapped up properly and sealed, that's the most important thing. But overall, looking at the brand and looking at the actual packaging and stuff, I don't think there's much of a difference. I think where I would be super disappointed is like the post-purchase journey. I feel like that's kind of where they kind of let them down. And when you actually get the product and you unbox it, it kind of leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth. So I don't know.
Okay, cool. So basically, I received my order on April 24, and then 3 days later, on April 27th, I got my first request for a review. I think this is like fine timing. I think like as soon as someone starts consuming the product, if they're enjoying it, like it makes sense to reach out with that first touch point. What I didn't like is like they basically explain how to leave a review and say go to the product page, click write a review, fill out the form, click submit. So like
Oh,
it's just a lot of work for someone to like do when like you would expect this to either be embedded in the email or like just send them to a link where like it's super intuitive, you know? Like you have all this info.
no. I hate it that it doesn't have a link, like leave my review, whether it's like a general review page or the product you ordered. Like, I guess you can't really track it, but nobody's leaving the email to go open Safari, to type in the Bloom website, to go search for the product they ordered,
I would
to
say the
scroll to
only
leave a
people who
review.
are doing that are people who are like probably angry. I would imagine. Like if you
Yeah.
have a really bad experience, like you're gonna go. But otherwise, if you just had like normal experience,
But
I
they
don't know, I
have the
wouldn't.
leave a review like button here. And I'm assuming when you click this, it takes you to the product page where oh, but the thing is like you probably have to like scroll all the way down to
Mm.
find the reviews and then click write a review. But then in that case, like why even have the CTA if it like it's like it
The
either
CT
needs to
is
be
above
explained
the
or it doesn't.
direction.
Matt, thoughts?
I was trying to go data on us and try to figure out their number of orders and website traffic and stuff and be like, their number of reviews on their website is probably so much lower than it should be. Not because of this only, but with the download the recipe and the video on the Google Drive, you can kind of tell like it's either not been revisited or just not the right people or thinking involved in it because this I've never seen like I haven't seen anything like this in I don't know a decade or more. Like it's
Yeah, no, you're right. Like it should be an intuitive landing page where like you just know
Yeah.
what to do. Yeah,
Also comparing this to like our open farm episode where like the text box and the review count and like the what kind of dog do you have where like just you could fill it in right from being in the email, like that being a possibility and then like doing it this way, and whether that's like you don't know that that's a possibility or just nobody's revisiting this is a big miss.
so I'm going to skip ahead because what we're going to see in a few emails is like when they send the reminder to like leave a review, like it's embedded in the email here. And
No.
and I just don't understand like why.
Well,
How would they know if you left a review on the last one if you had to close the email and go to their site?
they don't. That's the answer. Is they don't. This is directly from their review app. 99.9% sure, and it's not like
For sure.
Unit. It's Junip or Akendo or something. One of those reviews.io. Judge me, one of those, and it's just like
Mhm.
Yeah,
totally separate from the whole flow. Uh,
right. Because even the header isn't their like regular menu header that they use every time. So this is like, right, being sent from a different platform. It also isn't using their custom font, it doesn't look
Yeah,
like,
as
which
soon as I saw this, it just very much felt like something different, like definitely coming from a review app or something else.
For sure. Well, like they definitely had to set up this branding, so I assume like they know that this is happening, but it's just a weird process to have both of these different things in place where like you're telling customers to leave a review in like separate ways, where clearly like there's way more like friction in one. So it's like they have this set up. Like you don't have to have people like jump through the hoops to like go leave a review this way, and it just makes me wonder why they have decided to like leave this on.
also if you left a review the first time and you're getting it again, you're probably like, didn't I already do this? That small percentage of people.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good point too. And then you can speak to this, Matt. And I'm curious to hear your take on this. So basically, like at the bottom of this review email, they just say like, if you're not loving it, like shoot us an email with the details and we'll make it right. Personally, I really like love proactive customer service in ways that are even like deeper than this. I just think like people underutilize customer service like to actually like elevate the customer experience and drive revenue. And I'm curious to hear your take on it, Matt.
Thank you. Would love to share my take. So, not to plug us, most tools that have a
Plug it.
self-service portal,
Plug
uh,
it.
richpanel.com/demo. I need to add an attribution that says from Matt Lady so that I get credit, but
Yeah, you do.
that'd be cool. Most tools have this, but we strongly recommend brands start including this, not just in your footer or in your chat bubble, but having a link in every single email at the bottom so that you can, if you have any questions, instead of like having to ask or be prompted by this section at the eighth email we're looking at, you start to like, oh, I have a question or concern, I'm gonna go look for the self-service portal like FAQ in the footer, or even that's what they could link to instead of get in touch, because I'm assuming if you click get in touch it's like just opens an email. But
Hmm.
like, not loving it, why am I not loving it? Oh, I could like answer my own question if the FAQ that is there, and I could like, oh, it's like clumpy. Oh, add the milk frother. Oh, pff, duh, use that. Or oh, the milk frother did come in my pack. Like there's so many things that you could kind of self resolve and self solve, which is like the whole concept of these like tools. So anyway, I like the idea, and you can like improve on it from there.
Yeah.
Actually interesting because like you see the chat bubble on every website, but like no one has kind of like integrated that like type of proactive, like, hey, like you can reach us super easily in email like that.
What's also like aside from the technical way of like how they're making this work interesting is that I just went on their site to like look at their like shipping and returns, because this to me is like they have a love it guarantee if you're gonna say like shoot us an email and we will make it right. So
Mhm.
we have yet to learn about their first or perfect sip promise is a guarantee on their first purchase, free returns within 30 days, and then after that it's um returns on unopened products and they charge you back the return shipping. But nowhere have we learned about our first sip promise yet, or first sip guarantee, whatever they're calling it.
But that, and like you could probably speak better to this, Matt, from the customer service perspective, but like that definitely feels like something that like they would want to push up front, like to get the purchase. And then like it's not really in their best interest to like remind you about it anymore.
Yeah.
It also kind of makes me wonder if that's like only showing for first purchases, because if this is like your third order from their site and you no longer like qualify for this guarantee that they don't really tell you about, and they're saying like we will make it right, but then you like search their return policy and it's like it has to be unopened and they'll charge you back shipping, because that's something I would do if I'm like, oh, I don't like this, like how do I send it back? I would just Google their return policy before I like
Mhm.
start doing all these other things. So it's interesting copy maybe.
Yeah. The last, like, I'll just reiterate, bad customer experience is louder than good customer experience.
Yeah.
And so we want to reduce the customer effort is like the main thing to result in good customer experience, right? So
Yeah.
therefore, increasing customer effort is bad customer experience. So that's least likely to tell their friend, least likely to post on social, least likely to leave them a review or least, all these sort of things. So it all adds up. These are all, I'm
Mhm.
being super harsh because I'm viewing it from the customer experience side for the first time. I'm a media buyer in my past life, so I'm
Yeah.
always about the acquisition. So this is just fascinating to kind of see these examples in the wild.
For sure. And like yeah, it's a really good point. The last note that I had on this email that's like asking for a review, and I think again, like if anyone out there is like watching this that runs email marketing, like you have to think about this from like a real just like customer perspective or like someone who's reading this email perspective. And like you can't ask them to do like 10 different things. Like if the point of this email is like give us a review and like follow these steps like to leave us a review, and then like also come back to the email please and scroll down like past the not loving it section, and then like go to TikTok and Instagram or both and like tag us in your self-care moments. Like this is a great initiative. Like great. Like get people to post on social. Like I'm all for
Yeah.
it, but like feature it in a separate email where like that's the focus of the email. And like all you should focus on here is like just leave us a review. Because even if someone like doesn't leave you a review, like or if they just open this and like they're scrolling down and they get to the bottom, like they're no longer thinking about leaving you a review here. So now like you've kind of what's the opposite of like killing two birds with one stone? It's like you've killed two opportunities with one too many CTAs. Can't tell if that
Yeah,
was like
I
Shakespeare or it made no sense.
that has to be a clip that you pull out and post as a
On
TikTok.
it.
It has to be.
I
Um,
knew where you're going with it, and I just let it. I wanted to watch the train crash, the car crash. I saw where you're going with it, and I was like, "Oh no, he's not going." Oh, I let him finish. That was
Didn't land
good.
the
I
plane.
you
loved it.
missed the bird with both stones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's such a big influencer like social brand. Like everybody, I don't know if it's just me because I'm their like probably their exact target demo is like posting about their bloom like absolutely everywhere on social, and like every influencer is doing like their video holding their like bubble mugs. So I see how as much as possible like they want to be pushing socials in email, but also agree that this should definitely be its own email because it's not doing anything at the bottom here, really.
Yeah. After that, just got an email like about Mother's Day and like buy one mug, get another 50% off offer. That was fine. Good email. And then the next thing, so like this, we've had this conversation before, Matt, and like we got deep into it in our last episode. We don't have to get as deep this time. But like refer a friend is a good idea on paper. It just like doesn't lend itself as an offer to like every brand. Like there's some brands that like it's just not natural to like reach out and like tell someone to use this brand. You know, the last one that we did was like pet food, and just like it didn't make sense like in that context. Like someone's not going to text their friend and be like, you need to try this pet food in like an organic way and then say like use my code. So it's like the goal here is clearly like you want to save on your next order if you want to order again. And like we want to get another customer, like from the brand perspective. But like if your goal is to provide someone an offer so that they can save, like subscription, in my opinion, makes so much more sense here because like that is in my best interest far more than like referring a friend at this point.
Oh, at this point in time, the subscribe offer to push that, I agree, is like what they should quote be doing instead. I may push back on. I think dog food, especially dog lovers, they'll be like, "Oh, I know other people like my dog is so much healthier and better, whatever now. You should like check this out for Farley, or like for a Martini or whatever your dog's name is. And like, I know they have those gut issues. You just went to the vet. Like, I don't know. Like maybe I know some insane dog people, but imagine similarly for girly pop influencer health wellness thing too. I don't know. I'm speaking out of turn, maybe.
But so my counter to that is like if you do want to like get Martini to start using that dog food, like do you need the $10 incentive to do that? Or like are you just gonna do that anyways?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have you had a puppy recently? They're very expensive. I'll take every saving I
A
can get.
puppy?
But yeah, no, so I use Martini because that's my puppy outside.
Oh,
My
really? Oh
girlfriend
my
named
God,
it.
I love that name.
Um, my girlfriend's other dog is
Love it.
Michelada, so it's like Martini, Michelada, Michi, Tini. Anyway, the $10, you're right. No, dude. Okay, let me take a step back. The $10 is probably not going to drive me to like try out this brand when this like expensive dog food and knowing these D2C brands, it's probably like $100. So it's like, cool, you're giving me 10% off. Like,
Mhm.
you're right. The incentive and the offer and the timing is not right, and probably similarly for this. So I appreciate your counter. Well said, sir.
I'm gonna take what you said and run with it and say exactly what I said about Open Farm, where it's a very influencer-y, Instagrammable brand
Mhm.
where a lot of like probably micro influencers, and it depends on how they're have their programs set up, like without having some like big bajillion-dollar contract with the brand to like be one of their ambassadors, if you can like just have your code like Elliot 10 and like share it on your story to your 10,000 followers who like follow your lifestyle content, someone who just follows you on Instagram might be like, oh, I've seen this everywhere and now I can like save. Like they might use your referral code in like that way, but it's not exactly being positioned that way. And I can see why you also wouldn't do that because like most of your demo is probably not Instagram influencers, but I can see that being like a way that people are actually using the referral and like using their code and whatnot. But and they have it at the top, become a Bloom buddy, so I assume that that's probably their influencer program of sorts. But yeah, if you're gonna tell your friend about it, like my Pilates best friend who drinks this every single day, like she just tells me about it. She's never once been like, use my code and order it. She just goes, take 10 out of my purse right now because I have them and I want you to have this great thing too.
That's it. That makes sense. I think like I completely agree with you. Like if that's their demo and like that's what makes sense, sure. But I think like then frame it that way and like just like be direct. I think like my conflict just comes in when like I just find like the more offers you have, the less likely you are to just like sell someone on one. And I think like I'm just such a proponent of like if you have a subscription brand and like it makes sense for someone to subscribe and save, like hammer home on that. Like just like keep like trying to position that as like the best offer. Because like and again, like if this crushes for them and they're gaining a ton of new customers from this referral program, like that might make sense. But like I feel like the math would suggest that like the LTV boost that they're gonna get from gaining more subscription customers like would outweigh the new customer acquisition from people like who wouldn't refer otherwise, because that's like the whole point here. It's like if someone's going to refer their friend like just because they love the product, this isn't like doing anything to elevate that. So I don't know how you would like granularly measure like the incremental word of mouth that's coming from this.
I think the problem with Refer a Friend is you have to find that right time, especially when it's an email. You have to go create an account and then get your link and everything. So if you're not at that right time when you're like, I would really love to like refer this to someone or like tell someone about this, then you're going to
Mm.
forget about it and then it's going to be non-existent. Whereas like if you get this at the right time when you're like, oh, so and so would really love this, and then this pops in your inbox, then yeah, you probably are more likely to go take the action and be like, oh, sweet, this coincides with what I'm thinking. But to find that right timing, it's probably really tough to do.
Hmm.
Yeah. There's
I agree.
only one brand that I think crushes it on their referral program. And I don't want to yap too long, but it's actually a brand I used to work with called Some Days. And I wish I could take credit for this idea, but I cannot. They basically make like natural period pain relief products. That's my best description. And every February, they do something called Crampygrams. So they basically reach out to their existing email subscribers and they're like, send a crampygram, so it's like a Valentine's Day card, like to your friend, and like we will send you 30% off your next order. And in that like Valentine's Day card that it'll auto generate for your friend, it'll also give them 30% off their next order. So instead of it being like, you should try this product, it's like, here's a funny meme. Also, like secondary, save 30%. Also, they don't have to purchase for me to get my 30%. So it's kind of basically a sale, but to access the sale, you have to send your friend a Valentine's Day card. And that's like the only brand that ever comes to mind where I'm like, this is genius on their like
Yeah.
referral side.
Yeah, no, that like makes sense for sure. Next up, basically, I just got an email that was like win a tropical escape. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, but like it was a really well executed giveaway that's like on brand. I find a lot of branded giveaways are just like kind of lame. It's like win a box of like free product. And I think this definitely just like got me excited, like win a tropical getaway. Like just like an interesting approach from them that got me engaged. Next up, another like Mother's Day last chance email. Nothing to really talk about there. We talked about the second review request email that like I think is much better than the first one, just super straightforward and clean. Then basically like had a Bloom times Amazon one. So basically like for last minute Mother's Day gifting, obviously they understand like you're going to get your product way faster if you order with Amazon. So like that makes sense. I think it was like good for them to like capitalize on that opportunity. Then the last email I got was in French. So, so I know why they sent me this email in French, I guess. Like I'm based in Quebec and I assume I honestly don't know actually because like this is the last email I received. So like it's currently June 3rd on the day that we're recording this. So it's been like what like 17, 18 days since
You
the
haven't
last
gotten
email I
any
received.
since?
No, I kind of wonder if like they realized they sent me the French email by mistake and then they were just like embarrassed. So they're like, we can't email him again. Like it's over. Like they're just like ghosting now. um, but it's just like I assume like they have a segment for French subscribers and like at some point maybe they put in like if someone's based in Quebec, we're going to send it to them in French. But like I don't get it. I don't know how this happened honestly. Cuz like that would be a weird thing for them to do to just like all of a sudden group. I don't know if like they only started sending in French here and like this was the criteria or like what happened, but yeah, it really threw me off. And honestly, like this is niche, so like not super widely applicable for everyone watching, but like in Quebec like the language separation is like very like palpable, I would say. Like there's like friction between like English anglophones and French community, and like you can absolutely like alienate people by like sending to them in the wrong language. And I think it's a complete coincidence that this is the last email that I've received from them. But oh, I also just noticed that like their header links are still in English, which is interesting. Anyways, this was just strange.
It's very weird. Yeah, we agree. It's very weird. Not gonna speculate on it. The last thing I'll say, maybe you're gonna get to this, is like, when did you receive the order and when did it like
I received the order on April
officially?
24th and received a lot of emails, but the last one was on May 14th. It's like not that long.
Presumably it's a
But
30-day supply product. And presumably like, oh, you're running out, or like, this and then subscription or whatever, right?
so funny you should mention that, Matt. I thought it was 30 days. And basically, like the way we organize LTV Lab is like we wait 30 days after placing our orders to just leave time for brands in this situation to try and get us. Like the whole point is to see like, can they retain us as customers? And the way that they would do that is like through like replenishment reminders. So like if you're watching this, like absolutely you want to reach out to people when they're in need of replenishment and ask them like, do you need to order more? And like push them to a subscription maybe. And I thought it was 30 days, but it ended up being 45 days. So I was actually supposed to like have this episode happen a few weeks ago. And I pushed it so that I could wait the entire 45 days. And then I just stopped receiving anything. So like to the exact point I think you were making, Matt, like exactly what they should have done in the time frame from like May 14th to today, they didn't do at all. And I don't know why I stopped receiving like campaigns as well. Like this could have something to do with their segmentation. Like I would assume like this is probably the last, well, this isn't even coming from Klaviyo, but like maybe this is the last email in their welcome flow, or sorry, in their post-purchase flow. I would venture to say unacceptable that like for a D2C brand whose customer acquisition costs are as high as they are, they're not doing anything to follow up and try to get me to place my next order.
So I just went on their site and like when you go to
Mhm.
subscribe in the footer and in the pop-up, you select like Canada, US. So I would imagine that they're tagging you because you're in like Quebec and
Mhm.
that's an assumption because there's no other way that I just saw to like note yourself as like wanting French content. And I've worked with brands before that like are Canadian and just do not want to sell in Quebec because they have no interest in having to put everything in French and English, which was
Mhm.
the next thing that came to mind. Where like if they're seeing that you're in Quebec, like they're just like, we actually just don't want you as a customer, which I also don't think is happening here because at least one French email exists. So it's not that they're also saying like, we just want to stay away from Quebec. But then you didn't get any more in French or in English, which just has me confused.
It just like almost seems like impossible, like something's wrong. Because like for a brand that's as big as them, and like we could probably go on Mild and like figure it out to see if they've sent more campaigns. But like it's just weird that they wouldn't send more emails after that. And also like I do think it's strange that like their post-purchase flow is so short, given like they're telling you like this is a 45-day supply.
Okay. Last thing for me, I'm yapping a lot. But which SKU did you get again? The Super Belly set?
Yeah, I got the like intro bundle.
The intro bundle,
The
not
start,
the.
sorry, the starter kit.
Oh, I was looking at the Super Belly set. So it's subscribe and save, deliver every 30 days is the default instead of 45. Uh, if you're supposed to take it daily, So it's like you get it more
Yeah.
frequently. Anyway, I'll stop.
But this actually brings up something like very interesting that I was thinking about, which is like whenever a brand has like a starter kit, which I like feel like is a great idea for brands to have, like a sampler pack to like try different flavors. Like they didn't even do this, so I can't critique it, but like the natural inclination or like the natural setup is like to push people to like replenish on like the same product that was ordered or like subscribe to that same product. But like what happens when you get a sampler kit is like you're going to overwhelmingly like one or two flavors more than the others. And like that's exactly what happened with this one. So like I tried all three on like day 1, day 2, day 3, and then like I really like the mango one the best. So like that I just started drinking that one every day and I like ran out of that one within I guess like 2 weeks. And then I basically had like the next two flavors that like were okay, but I didn't like as much. And like the ability like to get me to replenish or subscribe to just like one flavor now is like so strong. Like this is like what we'll get to in a second because we're done all of the post-purchase emails. But like the way that I believe they should have gone about retaining me as a customer is by really tripling down on like the benefits of subscription, the benefits of like continued use, and then getting me to reorder the individual flavors that I liked. So like there's just a lot of opportunity here for what like an expanded post-purchase flow should have looked like. And ultimately it boils down to like getting me to use the product more, which is something that they didn't do like well enough, and then getting me to like place the next order, which is exactly what should have happened like in this phase after this. In terms of the post-purchase experience on our retention rubric with the emails, you know what? I'm actually going to give this a 5 on 10 because I don't think it's a pass in terms of like what I would expect to receive from a brand like Bloom with the like specific SKU that I ordered. I think again, we've talked about it, like doing something wrong is way more potent than like doing something right. And like the French email right away, I was like, that's almost like an unsubscribe for me. Like, why are you sending me an email in a language that isn't what you know I speak? Um, and then like everything else that like we have touched on in terms of like the added friction, like not like focusing on messaging that like should be focused on, not having any subscription language, I think like is what makes it a fail on my part.
I think that that might even, or I think that Saf would even agree that that's a high score considering they ghosted you after May 14th.
100%. Like
Like max score should be 5 and then continue to dock from there.
I think that is like the absolute max that they can have. I think like there was some positives involved, and I do think like they earned a few points for those. I think when we
Hmm.
look at other brands who like have basically no emails going out post purchase, that's extremely negative. At least they kind of stayed top of mind and kept me engaged for a little bit. But definitely, like, I do agree that 5 is the max that they could have received here.
Now I'm just so curious to know like what happened to your Klaviyo profile to get the French email and then never be reached again.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's possible they've just decided, like, we're not sending people to Quebec anymore. I don't know. Product satisfaction rating. So we always talk about, Matt, like the quality of the product is ultimately the most important like factor in someone wanting to reorder or not. Like you could have the best emails in the world. Doesn't matter if the product sucks. Conversely, you could have the best product in the world and someone's going to reorder if like your emails aren't there. This is a like perfect example, I believe, of like how a brand can get someone to reorder with good email marketing and then not and then like lose that customer forever with poor email marketing. And this is the first time, this is episode 5 right now, and I haven't said this before. Like we've had plenty of scenarios where like the marketing hasn't been there, but the product has, and it's gotten someone to say, I want to reorder. This is exactly like what happened. So basically, my product satisfaction rating is like an 8 or 9 on 10. I'll say like an 8 on 10. I think like it would be a 9 if I like loved all of the flavors equally. It's just like there was one flavor that I didn't love, so like that will dock it. But like it was good, and like it comes down to like product expectations versus reality. The flavor like was very good, and this is like now going to lead into like the overall retention rating. So basically, like I guess like to wrap up the product satisfaction, the reason why I really enjoyed the product like was because of the flavor and because like I bought it to begin with, like to be better hydrated and have better gut health. What this product did is like it made me want to drink more water, which like sounds simple compared to like everything that they like tout about like all of the benefits of it. But like the flavors were pretty good. And like I was way more excited about drinking a glass of water that had like that bloom in it than drinking like other glass of water. And because I was having like one a day, like I would have like my first glass of water with bloom and then the next glasses without it. And like the first glass was always like way better, you know? So every day I was like excited about that first glass. Now, in terms of like the functional benefits, like I said, like it's not something like gut health is not something that I was able to connect to like a better feeling that I was going to experience. And I do think like that is like the onus to accomplish that was on them. Because if I'm coming in, and this is exactly what happened. And this is why like I think there's so much to gain from LTV Lab, like getting the real customer experience. Like I came in with limited knowledge of like what makes up your gut microbiome and like what being properly hydrated is supposed to make you feel like and like what's supposed to happen in your body that will give you all these benefits. And like the reason why I feel like I didn't feel those benefits is because like they weren't communicated to me in a way that made me understand like what I was supposed to be feeling or like what was happening beneath the surface that I like wasn't feeling proactively, but like that would occur over the next 30, 60, 90 days if I like was staying properly hydrated throughout that whole time and if I was letting my like gut flora like recover from the damage because of what the product was doing, you know? So like because I didn't get that education, all I'm left saying was like it tasted good and I drank more water, which is still like that still holds value to me, but like not as much value as what they're selling because they're selling all these great benefits that are worth like the $90 for this 45-day supply, you can call it. And like $90 is not worth like a little more enjoyment of like from the water I'm drinking, you know? It's worth like the focus that they're promising and like feeling better, which like I didn't know what like feeling better was supposed to feel like. And I am curious from you guys like if that resonates like or if I'm just like out of the loop on like what you're supposed to feel like from a hydration product. And I'm just going to preface that so that you have more context. Hydration brands have gotten so big over the last few years, like Liquid IVs and all of these other ones. And like I for the first time tried one and drank it every day and had the kind of realization of like, oh, I actually don't know what I'm supposed to like feel like.
There's a lot to kind of dig in there with like the rise of like hydration products. It's kind of similar to like the rise of like every brand now having like a new lip product. It's that they don't take like a ton of time to like formulate. So like brands that are kind of in the space can like come out with them without years and years of like having to develop a new product. They're all, to me, based on ingredients, pretty similar. They usually have some type of fruit extract. They usually have the electrolytes, the salt, the like little bit of sugar for flavor. So it's not like it's probably pretty similar to like other things you can find in the market, but you are right where it's like unless you're like high performing athlete and like you actually know if you like hydrated properly or not and like you can feel it directly or like that's something you think about all the time unless you're like being marketed to or told or educated on like how you should feel or like what's actually happening that maybe you like aren't noticing till you're like gut microbiome or whatever, you would probably come down to it tastes good and it made me drink more water, which is also good, but that's not what their goal was for you to feel like at the end.
That's it. And I just think like with everything that influences how you feel, just like distinctly remember that like there were days where I like didn't feel energetic or like I didn't feel super focused. And I was just like, well, is it because like this product's not working or is it because I like got 6 hours of sleep last night? I wonder what I didn't see. And like, again, I think this is on them to educate me on as to like what everyone else sees when they have a subscription to like Liquid IV
Yeah.
or Bloom, you know?
It's not like it's a caffeine product where it's like a pre-workout and you're at the gym and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
like I am caffeinated, like this is working, like it's good. You're kind of like playing the long game with like it being for gut health and like you caring or should be caring about that. Kind of has to be thought about differently on like how you message and market it.
So that's my exact point. It's like I want to care about that. Like I care at like a surface level. If you ask me like, do you want good health, good gut health or bad gut health? I'm gonna say like I want good gut health. Now it's about like, okay, well, you need to communicate to me that like you're going to get good gut health by consuming this every day. And here's what's going to happen to your gut health if you stop consuming this. Like, this is what you're going to feel like in a year from now if you like make this a priority. And this is like how you're feeling currently. Like, why, like, I think I just have to tap into like why I bought the product in the first place and like really paint the picture of like what I want to be experiencing and what I want to feel versus like the alternative. You know, it's like, here's why like water isn't good enough to hydrate. Like, this is why you need Bloom.
Yeah, that's a great point. Last thing I'll say probably is like just reiterate, you want to push on the pain or point out the reward like way more obviously than they seem like they've done so far in the emails you got before they just ghosted you for being French.
Overall retention rating, I'm going to give them a 6 here. I think that there is a lot that they could have done. I think the product like made a big difference in like how I felt about the brand, but the fact of the matter is they just didn't do what they needed to do to get me to adopt the behavior of drinking Bloom and really understand the benefits that I was getting from drinking Bloom and why I needed to continue drinking it, which is what like I would need to understand for them to retain me as a customer. So that's why I give them a 6 on 10. And then for the final question of would I buy from Bloom again, the answer is no. And like the thing is, like if someone got me Bloom as a gift, like I'd be very happy. It's like, oh, I have this amazing flavored water that like I enjoy drinking again. This is great. So like I still have a positive feeling towards the product. The thing is like I've already gone back to my old habit of like just drinking like maybe not enough water, but like just drinking unflavored water. And so I've now call it 2 to 3 weeks outside of the like replenishment window. Like I finished the product. I no longer feel the need to drink it anymore that I did like when I had it. And I know like I don't miss a feeling that I got from it when I did have it. So I just don't know what I am missing in my life to justify that like continuous expense every month. And again, I'll reiterate, like, I think that's on them. Like, I think like it was very possible for them to give me a like good reason to subscribe and a good offer to subscribe at the right time that would have hooked me. Like I can absolutely see a scenario where I would have started a subscription, but I didn't. And now like I'm out of the habit and that's it. Everyone, thank you so much for joining this episode of LTV Lab. Special shout out to Matt. Go check out Rich Panel. Shameful plug there. And yeah, hoping to have you back on the show, Matt. Thanks for joining. And thank you everyone for
Anytime.
watching.
Literally anytime. Thanks. That was fun.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.